got to go to this really cool restaurant. They made traditional Cuban cuisines based off of recipes they got from their mothers and their grandmothers. So it was made with love. It has real meaning behind what they're trying to create with there, and they're trying to pass on a legacy.
Our host Roy welcomed us with pretty much all of these different styles of Cuban food. But not only he welcomed us with food, he welcomed us with the backstory around them.
We had just been coming from breakfast, but walking into the kitchen and seeing all the ingredients and being awash in these aromas and scents and smells and seeing them stirring the stews with these giant wooden paddles, I immediately got hungry again, and it was just amazing to be immersed in the culinary process.
The government, when the Cuban Revolution wins, they cancel all the private business until the middle of the 90s. Then they open license for the people who try to make a homemade restaurant. The original paladars are private restaurants, but all the employees you can have, they had to be from your own family. After 2005, the Cuban government policy changed. That's why it's coming a lot of restaurants. They grow up. You can work with anybody.
It was an authentic Cuban cuisine, and we actually went there to shoot some food photography, and it was fun to get some shots and try to get artsy with it, because I'm definitely not a food photographer or a food videographer at all, but I channeled my inner chef's table and I tried to really conquer it.
One of the highlights of the meal was when we got to have coffee prepared in the traditional Cuban way. First, they grind up the coffee, they let it soak in boiling water before they pour it through this filter that's hanging in kind of like a wooden thing that suspends it, and it all drips down into these little cups of coffee that are just, it's almost like an espresso, but really, really strong, and it went beautifully with the rum that we had and the cigars as well.
I just want to show you
His passion and being able to translate how he feels about the food and about his people is very admirable. People who have goals like this and have aspirations like this are people that I truly identify myself with.
Háblame si quieres de un mal presagio, que el sabor amargo no cabe en...
I'm taking every little bit, every moment with me. I'm leaving a lot inspired, not only by the people who I worked with in this trip, but also about Cuba. It turned on a light bulb in my head, and I'm actually thinking about going back to music, and the first thing I'm thinking is music with the heart of Cuba.
Since the very beginning, we've connected with Click. He's been my go-to here, and he's so freaking talented, and his portraits are beautiful, and he's so passionate about what he does and so creative, and his edits are amazing. So I love Oveck.
Paola is one of my favorite street photographers. Her work in New York, I think, is amazing, and it was interesting to see her approach Cuba with that lens. She's always got a smile on her face, and she is always seeking these interesting moments, and you can see her kind of be drawn to these certain things and looks, like, you know, it might be the reflection shooting through a window or adding layers and layers and layers of light. It's just interesting to see her work and to be so immersed in the environment around her.
I am leaving a piece of my heart here in Cuba. There are a couple of things that I've learned throughout my journey. The attitude you have towards your life will determine how you live it. It doesn't matter what you have or what you don't have, as long as you embrace that life itself is a gift. Each place that we visited taught me something different. So Cuba, gracias por todos los recuerdos. Nunca te voy a olvidar.
Háblame de lo mucho que me quieres, no importa lo lejos.
Sara is one of those persons that have so much knowledge about YouTube. Her videos are so informative and packed with information that you would need, and she's a funny person, and she is also very talented on both video and photography. I'm just glad that I was able to share this time with her.
When I first found out that I was going on a trip to Cuba, really the only thing that popped into my mind was like one word: communism, which is a very intense concept, and of course it's their government here. But what I found through coming here, it's so much more than that. It's people and it's traditions and its art is so beautiful. You know, Cuba is going to go through their own growing pains as they go through all of these changes over the next 5 or 10 years. But I think they're going to come out on the other side like somehow even a more amazing country just because the people are so genuine and they're so creative. Andy is kind of like a force of nature. He captures the essence of a moment so well, and he does it in a way that it makes you want to be there, it makes you want to experience it, and you somehow understand everything that the person who captured it like felt during the moment. He is so talented and he's so inspirational.
What I can say about Cuba is that it represented a feeling, and the feeling that I felt here was love. I always have 3 pillars to traveling, which is the people, the landscapes, and the food. This trip for sure, the people definitely stood out to me. People are so genuine to where like they want to meet you. They would be the first person to put their hand out and say hello, to give you a kiss on the cheek, to make you feel welcomed. And it's hard to find nowadays. Meeting Steve Sweatpants in person for the first time was insane because like he's always been like a role model to me. He takes the time to fully immerse himself into conversation, which I respect 110%. His photography is insane. He has a vision, and that's something I really respect about him.
This is probably one of the most important moments in my life. This past week, being able to do all of these different activities, going to Viñales, meeting these kids at the school academy, walking around Havana, all of these different aspects I've learned on so many different levels that this is the most important trip that I've ever had in my life. When I first saw Dave's work, I was like, this guy is basically National Geographic. I just always admired his work and I thought it was insane. It was clean, it was well balanced. I was a fan of his work for years. There's few people that drive me, and there's few people that I consider my friend like Dave. I love him, and that's my homie for life, so shout out to Dave.
My expectations were exceeded 100-fold. I'm blown away by this country. Visually, it's one of the most appealing places I've ever been. We had a week here and we shot 12-hour days. We had all the time in the world, it seemed, to make photographs, and I feel like I could spend a year here and still not even approach its full essence. Cuba is a magnificent place. It's a photographer's playground. I cannot wait to return and dive even deeper into the possibilities of photography in this country.
A small boy once asked, when will I grow up? When will I see what grown-ups do see? It is fine to come of age.
Better when you travel with friends.
TVL Cuba!
Better when you travel with friends.
TVL Cuba!
Stevie.
As the years went rushing by, he would cut down on his
Whoever's editing this right now and you're watching this footage, like, we see you.
We're watching you right now.
We're watching. Steve, say something to the editor, like, editing this.
Hey, you.
You the true MVP.